Yeah, no, it's just we've said it enough. It's insane, right?
Yeah, and we're talking about
we're
multiple
just beating
sports.
We're
like
beating a dead horse
yeah,
here, right? It's
saying-
insane. Every sport, how like what
We'll
are we
just-
talking about? Steven? What are we doing here?
We'll just move on to our next fact.
Yeah, let's just move on. We're just we talked ourselves into a total brain
NFL
fart.
top 100 list came out on the CBS one. Only 4 players from last year in the top 10 remain in the top 10. So like, yes, some of that's young players, but some of that's just moving around. But like, it just shows you how the league changes so quickly. Like, regardless of what sport it is.
Yeah,
I think Mahomes was number 1 last year and stayed number 1.
Yeah,
remember this is on CBS. NFL.com had their own list. Lamar Jackson was number 1 on that.
Okay. Really?
Yeah, that surprised me.
They were like what? He was like 20 something on.
Yeah, he was. He wasn't.
I think the NFL.com one is voted by players.
Oh.
Yeah,
I forget.
The CBS one is
CBS's sport is like Writers Associated Press.
It's one. I think one guy made the CBS one, and then everyone kind of debates on like, is he like, and then like it lets analysts kind of like be like, this is right.
I believe the top 100 players by the NFL is chosen by players.
Yeah,
they vote.
So
yeah.
So that's why that one was just a little different. Because I remember when I was looking at it, I'm like, yo, these guys are not looking at the same list. So that's why I want to clarify. CBS list.
Pete Prisco is the guy who does the list.
Pete Prisco.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pete Prisco, guys.
So
you have issues with the list.
Him for most of his picks.
I disagreed with him on a couple of things.
But like, I feel like that's like,
we'll get into that.
Yeah. It's easier like when that players pick it. It's like, okay, now it's like you don't really know what
it's a popularity contest.
Yeah, so where it's like when Pete Prisco picks, it's just like what he determines,
how he sees it, how it works for him, yada yada. Biggest surprise on the list for me personally, this Who Dat Nation's going to come at me. I don't believe Michael Thomas should have even made the list this year.
I agree with that.
Wow, really? In the top 100, you don't think?
Listen, this is my opinion on the top 100. Since it comes out every single year, you have to base it strictly off of what happened that year. Michael Thomas was a non-factor for New Orleans. He had 51 catches or something like that. That was Julio Jones who only had 51 catches. He had his career low in every single receiving category. To me, he shouldn't have been on the list. And I don't remember where he was 55.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even put him.
Yeah.
Even if he was going to make the top 100 based on legacy, still based on how bad of a year he had, he shouldn't have been higher than like 90.
So what I saw was like how
Pete
Prisco kind of like, I looked at some of the players, like why he put them there. Mm-hmm. So it is based a little bit off last year. It's based a little bit off career in general. Mm-hmm. But what he based mainly the list on is what he thinks for the actual year that's coming up. Like he put Christian McCaffrey 21. He's like, if I would have made the list purely based on last year, McCaffrey wouldn't be in the top 100 because he was injured for so long. So he's like, I have to use all 3 aspects of their career. Like I can't purely pick what they did last year. I have to think of, is last year a sign of what's to come, or is last year just like a one-off?
But it just seemed like Michael Thomas had no factor like on that team.
Well, my biggest problem was I put him in a snub. Is Michael Thomas, because I don't think Michael Thomas should be so much lower than Julio Jones. I don't know if Michael Thomas...
I can agree with that because Julio Jones also had a bad year.
Julio Jones was in the 20s and Michael Thomas was 55. I'm not saying that Michael Thomas was a snub at 55, but if Julio Jones is in like the mid-40s
Michael
to 50s,
Thomas, so
now I'm like, okay, I'm happy with Michael Thomas.
Could we meet in the middle and say both of them should have been lower?
Yeah, I think...
lower as in closer to 100, not closer to number 1.
If Julio Jones was like 55 and then you had Michael Thomas in like the 60s or like 10 back or something, I could see it. But by putting Julio Jones in the 20s, I'm like, you just opened up to Julio Jones was not great last year.
He had 51 catches.
Michael Thomas was not great.
No, really, they both had really bad years. Injury related as well as Michael Thomas discipline related things.
Yes, that was.
But I just look at like Julio Jones had a more consistent person at quarterback. It was Matt Ryan the whole time, and he was consistent. Breeze was hurt, and then you had Winston and Taysom Hill for like. I'm not saying that completely
but
factors
this man
into him.
is making, I believe, the most.
He's the highest paid wide receiver
out of his
and when you get
position,
injured, you get injured. But when your coach suspends you because of your attitude and your behavior, that's completely different. Now, I get whatever Pete Prisco or whatever his name is saying about trying to balance it between those 3 factors. For me, though, these lists should only be about what did you do. This is the NFL's 2021 season top 100. Not the top 100 guys based off of what they did in 2019, 2020, 2021, and what they could do in 2022.
I think the only time
that's where I kind of disagree with how to make the list.
Like you can throw Dak Prescott mixed around because he got hurt. Like I'm perfectly okay with that. Like you can't go on last year because his stats would suck compared to every quarter. He should be like one of the worst quarterbacks. But
like I see your point, but also I get why he mixes it in.
Yeah, like no, I'm not like I get it. It's just my personal thing is if you're gonna put the NFL's 2021 season in front of top 100, you should base it strictly off of that season. And yeah, guys get injured and everything. And there's no doubt that Dak Prescott is better than certain guys that would make the list over him because of his injury. But you got to go off of the impact that they had for their team. Now, obviously, when it comes to injuries, you can make the case of, well, notice how once they were no longer like the starter for injury, whatever, the team just plummeted. Correct me if I'm wrong. Dallas wasn't winning games when Dak Prescott was starting.
Well, yeah, no. They weren't.
So nothing. And that's not to, I'm a fan of Dak Prescott. That's not to try and say that Dak Prescott's not good.
It wasn't his fault at all, but
Dallas was a bad team. Dak Prescott didn't have the numbers to back up something like that. So it would make sense if you left him out of the top 100 because of it. Do you get what I'm saying?
I sort of see it if you're solely basing it off of last year.
Right. Like if he was injured, so obviously he wasn't able to put up the numbers. Had he put up the full numbers, then you could say, yeah, look at all these numbers he put up, but he wasn't in there. You can't include people who didn't play over guys that did play. Just because this guy is a more established name, he has done it more.
Yeah, I see your point. I get it.
When did Prescott get hurt?
Week 4.
Week 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were, at that time, they were 1-2, and then they lost to the Browns. So they stayed 1-3. But I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago. I feel like Dak Prescott started off where it's like he could have.
No, that was last year. He was on pace to throw.
Last year he was on pace to do very well.
Yeah, so like that's where I come into like I understand like don't like bundle up Michael Thomas and like look at his whole career, but I'm like if you get injured like Christian McCaffrey did or Dak Prescott did, that should matter. And then if your main quarterback gets hurt, then you should, like Amari Cooper should not be penalized for having a down year because he had Andy Dalton thrown to him rather than Dak Prescott.
Yeah,
I feel like it's that factor where it's like
you have to give some
like Julio Jones had a bad
much.
year and did not really like he got injured, but he had a bad year and there was no extenuating circumstance.
I guess the Julio Jones thing is if he gets traded to another team, has someone else, and then has a good year.
But I feel like you have to base it on when he made that list, whatever team you're on. That like Aaron Rodgers is on Green Bay. You can't be like, but if he goes to Miami, he would be the number one. Like, no, you have to do it as what team he's currently on.
Yeah, but my whole thing was Michael Thomas. Even when he was on the field, he was not performing at a level that he should be performing at.
That as well.
That's all I'm saying.
That's why
I don't even think he should be in the 50s.
Like taking injuries out of it, I didn't think he was a factor at all while he was playing.
Well, that's I feel like now that I put on my list that Michael Thomas at 55. I should have put Michael Thomas being so far away from Julio Jones. That's really, I mean, I explained that, but like, that's kind of
I get what you're saying. But whatever. So we kind of have gone over how we think the list should be made, sort of. So Bobby, your biggest surprise?
Tom Brady at 4. I'm just saying biggest surprise from.
I mean, he had a good year, but I think that was definitely saying in a good legacy thing. But they did win the Super Bowl. So
this is a good way. I think he deserves to be at 4, but think about it going back a year. Did anyone have him? I don't think anyone put him in the top 10. I'm saying
I see.
Like, this is a good surprise.
Your surprise is more not his ranking, but more how he performed and put himself at that ranking.
Yes, he did.
Okay, I thought you were going to say that you were surprised he was so high.
No, I think he deserved this after the season he had.
Now we're on the Super Bowl.
Now
I was on the same page as you. I was like,
we're on the same page now.
I was like, whoa, wait a second.
But sitting back last year, I was thinking Tom Brady's washed up. He's too old. He's done. It's over. And then
you move to Tampa Bay.
Then come beginning of the season, you see he's not really putting up very good numbers.
He had a struggle at the beginning.
Then towards the end of it, he just has this amazing run, and I honestly he deserves this ranking. I'm just shocked from last year where he was at.
Okay, yeah,
okay, that makes sense of it now.
Yeah.
I was ready to have to be like, dude, really?
No. Tom Brady deserves it. I'm Tom Brady fan after him leaving New England.
Same.
And
once he left New England, I liked him a lot more.
I'm more of a fan of Tom Brady, but I still root for him I root against him in every Super Bowl because I don't like when the same quarterback. I like that Tampa Bay was in it because they had been in it for a while, but I'm like, but it's Tom Brady. Like it's like
right. No,
I just put a different color on him and one of the colors that New England also
it's
had.
Still Brady.
So
it's still Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, no, I get you.
The only time I've ever rooted for Tom Brady was against Seattle the year they beat Seattle.
Like the goal line stand, like that one when they
when they beat Seattle and last year against Kansas City.
Yeah, I bet on Kansas City because I thought they would definitely win.
So you didn't win money on that one?
No, I lost that one. Yeah.
We're just talking about how we're going to give you your own betting,
so much, and then you're gonna,
your own betting segment.
Listen,
and you're going to admit to your L. This guy, dude.
The biggest stage in the world.
You're going to be wrong.
You're going to get us sued. No.
You're going to be wrong.
It's a done deal. Put your life savings in.
Yeah, you're going to be wrong when you bet, all right? And
you can't win them all.
I thought it was a done deal. Patrick Mahomes was going to win.
And then Bobby
even without the starting O-lineman.
I didn't think that they would be that bad. Like,
Bobby, you're not helping yourself, man. You're not helping yourself.
I should have taken that into consideration more. Yeah. Okay.
You've learned from your mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
And when Bobby's Big Bets comes to the show, you better believe Bobby will do his research.
Tampa Bay makes it to the playoffs.
He won't lead you astray.
Actually, but if they go against the Chiefs this year, with their offensive line, I'm going to bet on the Chiefs again. I'm just saying that.
Oh, man.
Oh, boy. Ruh-roh.
If we have a repeat, Kansas City's winning it. Because they have...
What is the definition of...
Insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a
different result. They have a different offensive line, which is way better than what they had. All right.
We'll see if they're healthy.
Yeah, if they're not healthy, then of course.
Basically, to sum up, Bobby's going to do his research more, and
when
he's going to take into account the missing starting O-lineman if that ever happens. But I will say, for the most part, Bobby does hit on his bets for the NFL.
Thank you.
But we'll wait. Once Big Bobby's bet or Bobby's big, whatever we decide to call it. Once his betting segment comes in, you guys open up that wallet. Don't be afraid.
Yeah.
Maybe FanDuel will even give us our own promo code.
Ooh, that'd be nice.
Hey, but don't blame me if I'm wrong. All right?
But listen, we don't take any responsibility. It's your money.
It's your money. I don't tell you how much.
All we do is tell you how we would spend our money, and
I choose to keep mine in my pocket.
Yeah, it's basically Bobby saying this is what he would spend his money on.
Yeah.
No shame, and no harm, no foul.
You can spend however much
you can choose to listen to that advice on your own accord, or you can just ignore it. But whatever. We're kind of starting to digress a little bit.
I'm gonna go back to my big surprise.
Your biggest surprise
is also a quarterback. I don't know if I'm surprised of where he is. I don't know if surprised of where he is in quarterbacks. It's Josh Allen at 10.
Okay.
First of all, he's in the top 10, which like when you think about it, saying Josh Allen's a top 10 NFL player out of all the NFL players, it's kind of like weird to say. But also,
I was a fan.
He's the fifth best quarterback, and like I'm like thinking about, I'm like, who would I put ahead of him? I don't really know. Like Mahomes is better, Rodgers is better, Brady's better, and he has Russell Wilson at 8, who's better. And I'm like, I could almost argue maybe Josh Allen being better than Russell Wilson. Not career-wise.
You could argue him sliding in and being better than Brady, honestly. Like, it's an argument.
I'm like, career-wise, obviously you put Wilson.
No comment from me.
You put Wilson up against Josh Allen, and Wilson dominates him. Same thing with Brady. But it's just, this list should be about the next year. And a couple of weeks ago when I talked about my big game, it was Kansas City versus Buffalo, because I'm like, I think if Josh Allen beats Patrick Mahomes here, that's going to be the new quarterback competition against those two guys.
Dude, he's a top 5. I would say he deserves a top 5.
No, that's top 500 or top 5 quarterback?
Top 5 quarterback.
I can agree.
Yeah.
Especially after last year.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm going to stick to my whole taking into account only last year, definitely.
Okay, last year, looking at it, who do you think was better? Brady or Allen?
I think regular season wise, Josh Allen.
Josh Allen better.
It was Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're gonna,
Josh Allen was thrown in that MVP conversation for a while.
Yeah, he was.
Josh Allen had a very good year, and I think him being the number 5 QB was sort of that legacy thing versus Wilson. And
yeah,
Brady.
I get that, but
and obviously we're not saying Josh Allen is a better overall quarterback throughout his career than those two guys.
I'm just saying.
But when you take into account last year,
and
he's the better quarterback.
It just,
I think you look at it right. Like,
yeah,
same thing we were
size,
just saying.
arm strength. There's a lot of traits that.
Yeah, but then again, Brady won the Super Bowl. So,
yeah,
but like that's the whole thing we're talking about right
and
now.
They did lose to who did they lose to? Ravens?
The Bills?
No, they lost to the
Chiefs.
Yeah, they lost to the Chiefs.
Conference championship game.
Duh.
But I'm just looking at like now when you talk about Brady and like Wilson, like who would you take right now? Even you put Drew Brees in that thing, you take Josh Allen to lead the team. But if you're taking every single person in their prime, I think you take Josh Allen last out of all four of those guys.
If I'm taking one guy for one season, I'm going to take Brady. But if it's to build my team around, I'm going to take Josh Allen.
Well, I'm just talking about like the future. Like,
I mean, yeah, because he's young. But I'm just saying,
even for the next year, if I can take Brady, Wilson, or Allen for like the next year, if I could put any quarterback, I think I might take Josh Allen out of all three of those.
Dude, if the Bills had a run game, they honestly could have beat the Chiefs.
They had LaShawn McCoy.
Like if they had
not last year.
Not last
year.
No. Yeah, in his heyday, yeah. But
I'm talking
have him in his heyday.
I'm talking Philadelphia Eagles, LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, his heyday was in Philly.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm saying you bring
Frank Gore. No, wait, Frank Gore was in New York.
Yeah, dude, he was
still.
That was 2 years ago. He's on.
Bro, I told you these seasons just blend together.
They had
my bad.
Singletary, yeah, and he was supposed to have a breakout year, and he didn't. Like,
yeah, he was just kind of
Yeah, it was meh.
Fair enough. But, so your biggest Nick, we kind of went over your biggest snub, from Michael Thomas.
I feel like
we so I'm just going to kind of ignore you. No, I'm kidding.
That's fine. I'll just chirp into your guys because
So
I'm going
Bobby, your biggest snub
another
for
wide
the top
receiver,
100?
OBJ at 81.
Okay.
Too high, too low.
Dude, way too low.
What's a snub? Obviously,
come on.
He was snubbed. Should have been lower.
All right, I forget. Yeah.
Like, okay,
snub should have been even worse. He snubbed me out.
Like, I get it. He's coming off his ACL, but you're assuming he's going to be healthy. He's going to play. But, okay, if you're putting, again, Julio Jones, Michael Thomas, and then OBJ all the way at 81, come on. Like, he deserves to be by that 50 spot. Like,
yeah, if you're going to put the other guys up there, he should be up there too. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I guess I get it with the ACL, but
yeah,
I think he should be like closer to 50. Like not.
I get what you're saying. My biggest snub, I'm going to sound kind of like a Homer Bears fan here, but I think this is a legitimate snub. Roquan Smith not even making the list.
I'll give you credit there.
Okay, I'm going to come out and say it. I think Roquan Smith should have been an All-Pro, and the fact that he wasn't was kind of BS to me.
You're very upset about this still.
Well, I'm just saying, when you break it down, he led, it was Fred Warner, who's the dude, Bobby Wagner, and I don't remember the third guy that were all...
TJ Watt?
No, TJ Watt's was an edge rusher.
Yeah.
Fred Warner, Bobby Wagner, I don't remember... probably Darius Leonard on
the Colts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty sure those were your three all pros. Roquan Smith led all of them. He beat all of them in tackles. Beat all of them in tackles for loss. Beat all of them in tackle percentage, which is the percentage of tackles you make versus miss.
Yeah, but then again, that goes with the thing that it's voted in.
What?
Isn't it voted in?
All pro? It's chosen by the Associated Press.
Okay. No, I'm thinking Pro Bowl.
Not Pro Bowl. All Pro.
All Pro.
I'm gonna make a comment, and I don't know if you're gonna agree with me or not. It's gonna sound crazy, but then just let me explain it. Khalil Mack hurts Roquan Smith, but not on the field when it comes to voting something. Because when you think of the impact that he makes, people degrade his stats by saying, "Well, it's because they have to put so much attention on Khalil Mack." That Roquan Smith
it's a little
better.
I don't necessarily agree. Maybe if he was
I'm not saying it's true, but
maybe if he was an edge rusher that would help.
But I'm saying it's like
more,
when it's like, oh, Roquan, like take Khalil Mack out, he's not going to be as good as he is. I still think he's going to be just a star.
I still think Roquan Smith's one of the best linebackers in football.
I mean, I agree.
You can make me a Packers fan. I'd still think it. He's at.
But it's just that thing where it's like it's like Khalil Mack demands so much attention that of course like other linebackers are going to be better.
It's just Roquan
other guys get more votes.
Oh yeah, but look at what's his name?
Fred Warner in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He's got one of the best defensive fronts in front of him.
Yeah, I know. I
Like,
think it's just Khalil Mack garners that attention to where like
It just
it doesn't hurt. Like Roquan Smith is still, I think he would be a stud on whatever team he plays for, just because he knows football and he's a hard nosed player. Like he belongs on the Bears, just the way they play, and he's good wherever he would go. But I feel like some people are just like, oh, of course he has good stats. He plays with Khalil Mack, and they just kind of be like, that's how they justify not putting him as an All-Pro.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Bro, he should have made
he should have made the cut.
out of those 3 All-Pros who were all on the list.
Yes.
Roquan Smith had better stats. He was statistically better than all of them.
Yeah,
I think the
for
only
him not to
person
be in
who
the top
led him
100
in a higher stat was Bobby Wagner had more fumble recoveries. But fumble recoveries is kind of just a luck of the draw thing.
Yeah.
Forced fumbles is different. Forced fumbles, you force those.
Yeah.
But fumble recovery, you could just be in the right place at the right time. The ball bounces your way.
Yeah,
But Roquan Smith, better numbers than all of those guys. Doesn't make All-Pro, doesn't make top 100. There were like 7 linebackers in this top 100. Roquan Smith, in my opinion, is a top 3 linebacker.
I think so. Like the only thing I argue with All-Pro for, I could see Bobby Wagner getting voted before him, just because Bobby Wagner is that Seattle defense. Like when you look at a guy, so I'm like, okay, so like,
yeah, what Seattle defense? Their defense?
No, I'm
was
sorry,
garbage
but I'm
all
saying,
year.
like,
defense.
I'm
Yeah,
saying if
it's like-
Roquan Smith, his stats are slightly better than Bobby Wagner, but you
They
give
were
it to
much
Bobby
better,
Wagner,
not slightly.
I can see that. But I'm like, I don't understand how he doesn't beat anyone. Like
Roquan
deserves-
Smith should have been All-Pro. At the end of the day, it to me, dude, I get kind of like pissed off talking about
No,
it. 'cause it's
I
like,
get it. I get it.
I view it as super disrespectful to Roquan Smith because, like I said, I may be a Bears fan, but you can make me a Green Bay fan and it wouldn't change my mind.
It's,
But
Because when you see legitimate talent at a position, you respect it. I
Yeah,
hate
and-
Aaron Rodgers with a passion, but is he one of the best quarterbacks to play football?
yeah.
Yes. And Roquan Smith, in my opinion, top 3 linebacker. He makes tackles. He always is leading one of the top tacklers in the league. First off, how does a guy who leads the league or leads all linebackers in tackle for loss not even make top 100 when 7 other linebackers made the list? How do you justify that? And he had more tackles than all of them.
Where is he
really-
on the player voted list?
Once I realized we did CBS, I stopped looking for it.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure he didn't make that list either.
Yeah, but
He's slept on, and whatever. Let him be slept on. He's still one of the best linebackers in football.
Yeah, they picked up his 5th-year option, so obviously he's going to be playing even better because he's playing for a contract.
It
So
just bothers me.
Don't worry,
It bothers me.
He will be in the top 100 next year.
No, probably won't. But the way if he couldn't make All-Pro, being better than the other 3 guys that made All-Pro, how is he gonna? It's bullshit, man. I'm just gonna say it.
I get well, you know.
I'm heated about it. All right,
You know,
I'm heated about
we'll
it.
turn the
'cause
page to another subject.